The stars looked quiet, far from the war, beyond the last known human system. A single ship floated in space, silent, scarred, and alone. This was the Resolute. Once, it was part of a proud human fleet. Now it was the last one left. The black, steel hull carried the marks of battles it had barely survived. Half of its systems were failing. Supplies were low. The crew hadn't seen another living human outside their ship for months. Inside the bridge, Commander Arlen stood tall, staring at the holographic map. His eyes were tired but sharp. He hadn't slept in 2 days. He didn't need to anymore. Not since the nanotech injections. His body could go longer now, but that didn't stop the ache in his heart. A quiet voice broke the silence. "Commander," said Officer Malik, scanning the console, "we've lost contact with Vega 9. Arlen didn't flinch. He simply nodded. "That was the last colony," Malik added. Nobody spoke. They all knew what it meant. Earth was gone. Mars was gone. The outer colonies had gone dark one by one. Now Vega 9, the last human base on the edge of the galaxy, was silent too. The crew sat in silence, surrounded by blinking lights and dead signals. There was no one left to answer. Outside the ship's windows, a blue-white planet hung in space. Not Earth, just another empty rock. They had come here chasing a false signal, a hope that maybe survivors had landed here. It was empty too. Lieutenant Syra stood beside Arlen. She was young, too young, but had earned her place with courage and sharp thinking. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her headset. "We can't keep running, sir," she said quietly. Arlen didn't respond. Instead, he walked to the center of the room. He tapped the console and a hollow screen flickered on. Static. Then a looping message played, broken and fading. "This is Vega 9. Emergency code Omega. I repeat. Alien fleet has breached." The message cut off, that was it. A scream into the void. Malik leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. "If they're gone too, then we're the last." A long silence followed. The last human ship. No reinforcements, no allies, no command, just them. "We can't fight them alone," Malik said. "They destroyed Earth in a day." "They feared Earth," Syra replied. "They feared our numbers, our ships. We don't have those anymore." Arlen stepped forward. His voice was calm. "We still have something they don't." Malik looked up, confused. "What?" Arlen stared at the image of Vega 9's final message. "We have nothing left to lose." In the distance, alarms suddenly beeped. "Unidentified. Signal," Syra reported quickly. "It's faint, weak. Could be human." Arlen moved fast. "Origin?" "Deep space. Outside the charted systems. It's bouncing off a gravity well. Might be an old relay." Malik frowned. "Could be a trap. They've used fake signals before." Arlen narrowed his eyes. "It's not coded like the alien systems. It's an old Earth frequency." Syra nodded. "It's repeating. Just 2 words. Still here." The room went cold. No one said anything for a moment. The message repeated in the silence. Still here. 2 words. Enough to stir something in the crew. Hope. Or maybe madness. "It could be a survivor," Syra whispered. "It could be bait," Malik warned. Arlen's voice cut through both. "It's something." He walked to the center console. "Prepare a jump, we're going after it." Malik turned to him sharply. "With respect, Commander, we don't even know if this ship can survive another jump." Arlen's eyes didn't move from the screen. "We're going anyway," Syra smiled faintly. Plotting coordinates. The Resolute hummed to life. Its engines, tired but alive, powered up again. The crew moved with quiet urgency. There was no cheering, no excitement, just focus. Outside, the stars shifted. The ship jumped. Silence returned. For a moment, space was still. Then, a ripple tore through the dark, and the Resolute reappeared, deep in an unknown sector. The sky here was strange. A swirling nebula cast purple and red clouds across the stars. A small planet circled a dying sun. The ship's scanners clicked and scanned. No life signs, Syra said. But there's something else, Malik added. An old human science. Base. Underground. Still has power. The Resolute moved closer. As they neared the planet, a second alert flashed on screen. Incoming object, Syra warned. Fast. Too fast. Evasive maneuvers, Arlen shouted. The ship jolted to the side. A missile whooshed past them, missing by inches. Another warning blared. It's a stealth ship, alien class. Cloaked until now, Malik said. They followed the signal, Arlen muttered. They want to make sure no one finds it. The Resolute dove into the planet's orbit. The alien ship followed, firing. Blue plasma bolts lit up the sky. The old human ship groaned under the strain. Arlen gripped the edge of the console. Divert power to rear shields, get us underground. Syra looked at him in shock. Into the base? It's our only cover. With precision and luck, the Resolute plunged into the atmosphere. The alien ship followed, still firing. Heat shields flared, hull plates melted. But the Resolute made it. It slammed into the surface near a large crater. Dust and rock exploded around it. The underground base was just ahead, its doors buried in rubble. Damage report, Arlen called. Engines fried, Malik said. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 6. Shields down to 15%. But we're alive, Syra added. Arlen nodded once. He turned toward the exit. Gear up, we're going in. The crew moved quickly. A small team, armed and ready, stepped onto the planet's surface. The air was thin but breathable. The sky above them swirled with red clouds. They reached the buried entrance. After some effort, the doors opened with a hiss of old air. Inside was dark, cold, and still. The base hadn't seen life in decades, but it was intact. They moved carefully, scanning rooms and hallways, finding old research terminals, dusty equipment, and strange experiments. One room caught Arlen's eye. A glowing chamber in the center held a large crystal, suspended in a force field. Data screens showed ancient human writing and a weapon schematic. Malik stared at it. Is that what I think it is? A prototype weapon, Syra said, reading the data. It channels gravitational energy. Never tested. Arlen looked at the screen. It was built to crack a planet open. There was a pause. A weapon of last resort. Malik muttered. Syra turned to him. They were planning to use this if Earth fell. Arlen touched the screen. And Earth fell. Suddenly, a beep echoed from their comms. Alien ship's back, a voice said from the Resolute. It's landing nearby. We need to move, Arlen ordered. The team secured the weapon's core, pulling the data drives and portable components. Just as they exited the base, the sky turned dark. The alien ship hovered above, releasing hunter drones. Energy blasts hit the ground around them. The team sprinted back toward the Resolute. Drones chased them, firing. One crew member was hit, thrown across the sand. Arlen dragged another to safety. Syra covered them with a rifle. The ship's ramp opened just in time. As they all scrambled inside, Malik hit the emergency launch button. The Resolute lifted off, fire trailing behind. The alien ship fired again, but this time, the Resolute fired. Back a beam of focused energy, fueled by the prototype core, shot upward. The alien ship was hit directly and exploded in a ball of light. Inside the bridge, the crew stood still. They had won, but it didn't feel like victory. Not yet. Arlen stared at the remains on the screen. They were guarding that weapon, he said quietly. Whatever this is, it scares them. Syra looked at the recovered data. There's more here. Locations. Weak points in their empire. We could hit them where it hurts. Malik shook his head. We're one ship, one crew. Arlen stepped forward. Then we'll be the sharpest blade left. No one argued. The last human ship had survived. Now it had a weapon. And it had a reason. To fight. Not to win, but to make them remember. Humanity never dies quietly. The ship drifted through the silent dark, still glowing from its narrow escape. Inside the Resolute, the crew worked in silence. Every console beeped softly. Sparks flickered from damaged panels. The walls were scarred, the floor scratched with footsteps of tired but living people. Commander. Arlen stood in front of the recovered data core. The crystal hummed with quiet energy. Around him, light from the starless void cast long shadows across the bridge. He stared at the display, still trying to understand the message hidden in the old codes. The data they had recovered from the underground base wasn't just a weapon blueprint. It contained maps, deep records of early human exploration, and one surprising discovery, something humanity had found long ago but never fully understood. A signal. Not alien, not human. Something older. Syra entered the bridge, holding a small tablet. "I've translated part of the message," she said. "It's from Earth's first deep space survey mission over 200 years ago." Arlen raised his eyes slowly. "They found an object," she continued. "Something artificial. Something not made by us." "Where?" Malik asked from his post. Syra touched the tablet. A star map appeared. One small dot blinked in a forgotten sector, behind a dead star cluster. "No one ever followed up," she added. "It was classified, buried. But someone in that old base thought it was important." Arlen studied the map. "It's in the same sector the last message came from." Syra nodded. "The one that said, 'Still here.'" The room went quiet again. The signal hadn't been a random distress call. It had been a beacon, guiding them. "What if," Syra said slowly, "what if someone left that message on purpose? To bring us to that location?" Malik frowned. "But who would still be out there?" Arlen stepped closer to the screen. "Maybe not someone. Maybe something." Later, deep in the engine bay, the crew worked to bring the ship's systems back online. Sparks flew. Tools clanged. People moved with quiet urgency. Even in the mess hall, no one laughed, no one smiled, but no one gave up. They weren't just trying to survive anymore. They had a purpose again. As the Resolute moved toward the unknown sector, strange signals began to appear. Soft pulses, echoes, not messages, but patterns, like a rhythm trying to be heard. Syra analyzed them. "They're too regular to be natural," she said, "but they don't match any known language." Arlen sat beside her. "It's like something trying to remember how to speak." That night, or what counted as night aboard the ship, dreams came to many of the crew. Not normal dreams. Strange visions. Of places they had never seen. A city of lights in the clouds. A giant sphere floating between stars. A voice calling a name they had never heard before. Some woke in cold sweat. Others simply stared at the ceiling wide-eyed. The ship passed through a field of space dust, and for a moment every panel flickered with static. Then stopped. "We're getting closer," Syra whispered. Malik approached Arlen in the control room. "Sir, the crew's uneasy. They feel watched." Arlen nodded. He felt it too. Not fear, something else, something old, as if the space around them wasn't empty at all, but listening. Finally, they reached the coordinates. Nothing was there. Just a dark sky. No planets, no stars. Only a cold emptiness. But then the sensors picked up something strange. Shadows. That didn't belong. Curves where there should be nothing. Faint, impossible shapes. "A cloaked object," Syra whispered. Arlen gave the order. "Full scan. Careful." As the scan passed through the void, a structure slowly revealed itself. Massive. Ancient. Floating alone in the dark. A perfect ring, miles wide. Orbiting. Nothing. There were no markings, no lights, no signals. But as the Resolute drew closer, the ship's power levels surged. Lights flickered. Consoles rebooted. The crystal they had found began to glow brighter, reacting. Then the voice returned. Soft. Clear. "Still here." Everyone froze. It wasn't coming from the ship. It was coming from inside their minds. "Is it speaking to us?" Syra asked. Arlen stood tall. or welcoming us. They didn't know if they had found a friend or something else, but they were not alone anymore, and whatever had survived here in the dark had been waiting for them. The ring-shaped structure hung in the dark, silent and still. It had no lights, no sound, no movement, but it was not dead. Inside the ship, the crew stood gathered at the observation window. The ancient ring was now fully visible, miles wide, shaped with impossible symmetry. Its edges shimmered faintly, as if it reflected light that wasn't there. No one had seen anything like it. "It doesn't appear on any human or alien database," Syra said quietly. Malik leaned forward. "It's been here for a long time, maybe even before Earth." Arlen didn't respond. He was watching the crystal core that had come from the old human base. It was glowing brighter now, soft pulses matching the rhythm of the structure outside. "It's like it knows we're here," Syra said. The ship drifted closer. Then, without warning, the Resolute stopped. No engines fired, no brakes applied. It simply froze in place as if gently held by invisible hands. Syra checked her console. "No damage, no gravity field, we're just suspended." The lights on the bridge flickered once, then returned. Across the entire ship, every screen displayed a single symbol. Not human, not alien, just a circle, floating in silence. Then, a soft tone echoed through the ship, not a sound exactly, but a feeling, like a memory being touched. Each crew member saw something different in that moment. Syra saw her brother's face, long gone in the early days of the war. Malik saw stars rising above the oceans of Earth as they once were. Arlen saw the first launch of humanity's oldest ship, rising from fire into the sky. It lasted only seconds, but something deep had moved inside them. The structure spoke again. Not with words, but with presence. "Still here." Syra looked at the captain. "I think it wants us to come inside." A moment later, a section of the ring opened, smooth, seamless. A pathway appeared, leading inward. No force pulled them. No threat pushed them, but the message was clear. "You may enter." Arlen gave the order. A small shuttle was prepared. He selected a team of 3, including Syra and Malik. The rest stayed behind, watching, waiting. The shuttle passed through the opening. Inside the ring was not what they expected. It was not a machine, not entirely. They found a massive space, hollow yet filled with light and motion, floating stones, soft streams of energy, colors they couldn't name. It felt more like a dream than a structure. The shuttle landed on a smooth platform. As the doors opened, the air around them was warm, breathable still. No footsteps echoed, yet they were not alone. Small shapes floated above them like fragments of memory, echoes of moments flickering through time. They saw brief images, an early human ship drifting through space, an alien child smiling, a city lost to history. "This place remembers," Syra whispered. As they walked deeper into the ring, walls shifted gently around them, not as barriers, but as guides. Then they reached a chamber. In the center was a sphere, about the size of a person. Its surface was dark but alive, shifting with colors and patterns. When Arlen stepped forward, the sphere brightened. A ripple passed through the chamber. "Still here." The words returned again, clearer, this time more direct. The sphere shifted, and a holographic projection formed in the air. It showed Earth, then Mars, then the outer colonies, then nothing. Syra stepped forward. "Are you showing us what we've lost?" The sphere turned, red, then quiet, a pause. Then new images appeared. The alien fleets, the destruction. But this time the images didn't stop there. They showed hidden data, points in space, forgotten outposts, hidden systems, glimpses of energy patterns that matched the prototype weapon the crew now carried. "They've been watching the conflict," Malik said, "recording everything." Then one more image appeared. The resolute Arlen looked up. "They know us." The chamber pulsed again, gently. "You are the last." Then came something new. A map, complex, interwoven, routes, supply lines, command centers, all belonging to the enemy. Syra's eyes widened. They're giving us their network, not just information, but a plan. The crew stood in silence, surrounded by the knowledge of something far older than any species. Whatever had built this place had long gone, but left something behind. A warning, a guide, and now, perhaps, a purpose. Before they left, one final message appeared. A shape. The Resolute, surrounded by light. Still here. As they returned to the ship, Syra whispered what everyone was thinking. We're not just the last. We're the start of something new. And as the Resolute turned away from the ancient ring, the crew understood. They were not alone anymore, and the galaxy was about to remember who they were. The stars moved slowly around the Resolute, as if space itself had changed. The crew sat quietly on the bridge, surrounded by ancient data now stored in their systems. The ship had always been old, patched together over the years. But now, something felt different. It carried not just memories, but meaning. Commander Arlen stood at the center, studying the star map projected in front of him. It was not human. It came from the ring. A living map, shifting, glowing, pointing the way toward a hidden route through space. Malik approached carefully. This network, it's not just strategic, it's old. Older than even the enemy. Syra nodded from her console. It's like we've been walking in circles all these years, and now someone just handed us a key. A quiet hum filled the ship. The strange crystal still held in the engine core pulsed with soft blue light. Since they had left the ring, it had become part of the ship itself, connecting systems that had never been connected before. We still don't know who built that place, Malik said, looking at Arlen. No, Arlen replied, eyes still on the map. But they left it for us. That means something. Syra tapped a point on the star map. This is the first location the system wants us to visit, a planet called Orius 5. There's no official record of it, but the file says it was once a listening post. A human one? Malik asked. No, something even older. The stars stretched as the Resolute jumped to light speed. The crew didn't know what to expect. Every system on the ship was now enhanced. Faster scans, cleaner. Power flow, a smoother jump sequence, as if the ship itself had grown more alive after touching the ring. When they arrived, Orius 5 was not what they imagined. It was beautiful, a world covered in soft green oceans, islands floating in slow motion, and tall towers that touched the clouds. No fires, no damage, no signs of battle, but also no signs of life. It's untouched, Syra said, her voice low, like it's been sleeping. They landed on a large platform surrounded by water. The towers were covered in strange symbols, similar to those seen in the ring structure. As they walked deeper into the city, the atmosphere shifted. No wind, no sound, but the ground beneath them seemed to respond to their steps, lighting up, gently guiding them forward. They reached a central chamber, shaped like a dome filled with soft light. In the center was another sphere, like the one in the ring, but smaller and quiet. It's dormant, Malik said, approaching carefully. Arlen placed his hand near it. Nothing. Then, Syra placed the crystal core they had recovered from the last human base next to the sphere, a soft glow. The sphere lit up, and then, without warning, the chamber came to life. The walls lit with history, moving images of the planet as it once was, full of people, of creatures, of music and voices, a civilization unlike any the crew had seen. They watched in awe as the history played out silently. And then, a pause. Final image, a warning symbol, then darkness. It wasn't destroyed, Syra whispered. They left. Why? Malik asked. Arlen stepped forward. Maybe they knew something was coming. Suddenly a soft tone echoed through the dome. It was not a voice, but it held meaning, awaiting return. Malik looked confused. Return? Of who? Cyrus smiled faintly. Maybe us. Before they left the chamber, the sphere projected something new. A map, this time with layers, hidden structures beneath planets, data buried in light, places where the past still waited. Back on the ship, the map updated. The Resolute's next destination appeared, flashing softly. Arlen turned to his crew. We're not following orders anymore, he said. We're following a memory. Malik nodded. But whose memory is it? The ship lifted off quietly, heading once more into the stars. Behind them, Arias 5 began to change. The towers, once still, slowly began to rise and shift, stretching, like something waking from sleep. And far away, beyond even the edge of known space, something else stirred. Something had noticed. The last human ship was no longer lost. It had a path, and the stars were no longer quiet. The Resolute glided silently through the dark space, its path now lit by the secrets uncovered from Arias 5. The crew was no longer just a group of survivors. They were explorers following a thread woven long before humanity ever dreamed of the stars. Arlen stood by the window, watching distant stars flicker like ancient eyes. The map from the dome was alive in front of him, a web of glowing points and lines connecting places forgotten by time and war. Sierra approached quietly. The next location is a small moon orbiting a cold gas giant, she said. It's called Kalos. According to the data, it once held a vast archive. An archive? Malik asked, eyes wide. Of what? History, knowledge, technology lost to us. Arlen nodded. If the ring and Arias 5 were a message, then Kalos is the answer. The journey took weeks, but the ship's new systems made the travel smoother, faster. The crew spent their time preparing, studying the data, trying to understand the cryptic clues left behind. When they arrived, Kalos appeared as a frozen world beneath a swirling storm of blues and greens from its planet. The Resolute landed near a vast complex carved into ice and rock. It was ancient, older than any known human structure. Inside, the cold air was thick but breathable. The halls glowed faintly, powered by unknown energy sources. As they moved deeper, holographic panels flickered to life, showing glimpses of knowledge beyond human reach, maps of star routes, blueprints of machines they had never seen, and records of civilizations now gone. Cyrus' fingers moved quickly across the controls, absorbing every detail. This archive wasn't just for storage, it's alive, it learns. Malik found a chamber filled with strange devices, tools that hummed softly and floated in the air. They weren't just recording history, he said. They were preparing for something. Arlen's eyes darkened. Preparing for us. Suddenly, the chamber pulsed with light and a new message appeared. Not in words, but in feelings. Hope, trust, strength. We're not alone, Syra whispered. We've been watched, guided. Arlen looked at his crew. This knowledge is our weapon, but the ship's sensors blinked suddenly. Unknown ships appeared on the edge of detection, silent, distant, watching. The crew stiffened. Whoever was out there, they knew the Resolute's course. Malik checked the readings. They're not moving in yet. Waiting. Arlen's voice was steady. Then we wait too. We prepare. For days, tension grew. The crew worked harder than ever, using the archive's secrets to upgrade the Resolute, to learn what had been lost. But even as they prepared, Arlen couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. One evening, while alone in the observation room, he noticed something strange. A small pulse of light on the map, blinking far from their path. He called Syra. Look at this. She frowned. That wasn't on the archive data. It's a signal, Arlen said. Weak, but clear. Syra analyzed it carefully. It's coming from the heart of the enemy's space. Malik joined them. Could it be a trap? Arlen shook his head. Or a call for help. The crew gathered. The decision was clear. They would follow the signal, not because it was safe, Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. As the Resolute turned toward the unknown, the crew knew the path ahead was uncertain. But now, they carried more than hope. They carried a legacy and a future. The Resolute shifted course, cutting through the darkness with steady determination. The signal was faint but persistent, pulling them deeper into the enemy's territory. The crew knew this was no ordinary call. It was a whisper from the past, a chance that might change everything. Arlen stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the distant point where the signal originated. The stars outside stretched endlessly, cold and silent, but inside the ship hope burned bright. Syra adjusted the ship's sensors, her fingers moving quickly. The signal is coming from an old space station. It's damaged but still active. Malik frowned. An enemy station? Why would they send a signal like this? Arlen shook his head slowly. Maybe it's not from the enemy anymore. The Resolute approached the station carefully. Its metal walls were scarred and worn, evidence of battles long past. The station's lights flickered weakly, as if struggling to stay alive. As the crew prepared to board, an uneasy silence filled the ship. This place was a ghost from the past, holding secrets they didn't yet understand. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. The boarding team stepped inside the station, moving through dark corridors lit only by emergency lights. Strange symbols, similar to those on the ring and Arias 5, glowed faintly on the walls. In the control room, the team found an old AI core, still humming quietly. Its voice was soft but clear. Welcome. Waiting. Help. Syra reached out to the console, carefully accessing the AI's memory banks. The story unfolded. This station was once a research hub, where different species worked together to understand the universe. It had been abandoned when war broke out, left to drift in silence. But the AI still remembered. It spoke of a coming darkness, a force that had pushed civilizations to the edge. It had tried to warn others, but no one listened in time. Now, with the AI's help, the Resolute had a chance to change the future. Back on the ship, the crew integrated the station's knowledge. New technology, forgotten strategies, and a message of unity across the stars. Malik looked out at the stars. Maybe this war wasn't just ours. Maybe it was everyone's. Arlen nodded. And now it's up to us to finish what others couldn't. Suddenly, the sensors picked up movement, but not hostile. Small ships appeared, cautious but not threatening. The AI's voice echoed again. Allies, still here, waiting. As the new ships joined the Resolute, the crew realized they were not alone anymore. Others had survived. Others had hoped. Together, they would face the coming storm. The last human ship was no longer alone. It was a beacon, a symbol, a promise. The stars were no longer silent, and the war was far from over.